Hi, my name is Ruben Gur. I've been teaching up at Capilano U in the music therapy program for decades, and I'm still very happy to be doing it. My background is in bands, ensembles, composition, and teaching theory and instrumentation and orchestration. The G chord has several fingerings. The standard fingering tends to start with the second finger on the thickest string. This has disadvantages for working with other chords. The best fingering for a G chord is when your third finger is on the thickest string, third fret. The advantage of this, the best position for the G chord is when the third finger is on the third fret, thickest string. To formulate the rest of the chord, you bring the little finger over to the thinnest string, and if you only use those two fingers, you can get away with it by having the third finger mute the fifth string. You still get a B out of the chord up here. So this can be G. If this B is physically possible, this is a good G. This G, the four-finger G, is very useful for going to this C, which is a C add 9, but doesn't show itself useful in a lot of geriatric material. This G allows you to get to the C and also to ornament the G without difficulty. The A chord should be played with fingers 2, 3, and 4 because it allows later for variations such as barring. If you use fingers 1, 2, and 3, that escapes any possibility. If you use fingers 1, 2, and 3, it's impossible to do variations on this chord. This fingering of the A allows you to get to the A7, the A7 suspended 4, sharp 5, higher flat 7. So this fingering has much more possibility for variety. The thumb position for all open chords can almost be static. The thumb position, generally speaking, should be basically static, and the position that you can work from will allow all open chord shapes to be negotiable. The thumb should be approximately a 45-degree angle and not peeking up over the neck, and that 45-degree angle can be between the nut and the first fret. From this position, it's possible to play virtually all your open chords. There is one other rule with the thumb, which is that the thumb position should never be inside where the index finger is. For example, this is correct, but when the thumb comes inside the position of the index finger, it puts a tremendous stress on the tendons on the back of the hand. It puts a tremendous strain on the tendons on the back of the hand. As well, even if you're playing a G chord, because the first finger is over here, the thumb is better located over here. For a D chord, you could actually move the thumb here. But the idea is basically if you leave the thumb in one place, you can get all those chords without any kind of motion. That way the thumb acts as a GPS for the rest of the hand. Another thing to watch is if you're having difficulty getting clear chords, the idea of pressing the strings very hard doesn't work because you essentially flatten out the end of the fingertip and it becomes much more difficult to avoid hitting other strings. A way of looking at it is the angle of the fingers. You can rotate, and by rotating you can get a clear sound. In other words, this is a sound of a chord that doesn't work because that's muted, and merely this amount of angle movement clears it. So this is wrong and this is right. Most of the problems with chords originate with angle rather than pressure. The only problem with pressure is that if you are too far away from a fret, for example, in the chord C, if this finger ends up being closer to the second fret than to the third fret, or even several millimeters off the third fret, you'll start to have to press much more vigorously and you'll begin to get buzzing. So land right on the fret. In some cases with a C chord, you could land over the fret, and the fact that your hand rotates puts this finger in the proper place. So this would be wrong, except that when you put the rest of the chord in, this finger moves to the right position. Also with chords, especially G and C, place the thickest strings first, because later on when you're finger picking, this root will be what is struck first. So for G and C, it's more crucial than it is for D, A, and E, for example, because they have an open string for the root.